Come gather round the campfire and hear our ghostly tales of chilling terrors, darkest woes, and anything that goes bump in the night. So cuddle up with your best friend or dare it alone. The darkness is closing in and spirits are calling your name. This is Fireside Phantoms. Tonight, we are going to discuss the Mandela effect.
What is that?
Well,
I don't remember.
Yeah. Good one, Holly. This is probably one of the weirdest things and the spookiest topics that we have to dedicate a whole episode on. I'm thinking we might even need 2 episodes.
Yeah. I'm sure there's so many stories of people who can't remember or who could remember something that now or they're being told has never happened.
Well, it all started with Nelson Mandela.
Of course it did.
Which was a conspiracy thinking that Nelson Mandela had died back in the late 80s.
Right.
You know, this was really alarming to many people, myself included, when we found out, no, he didn't die in prison.
Yeah.
But was released and went on to become South Africa's president. And
talk about a comeback.
Yeah. Received numerous awards and passed at the old age of 95.
He was resurrected from the grave and he came back to be a president of a major country. Nicely done, Nelson.
Yeah. And he ended up passing the second time.
Are we sure about that?
In 2013.
Well, I mean, do we need to mark that somehow? Write it down like that Memento Mori movie?
We need to because people keep resurrecting and I just don't understand
You don't know if he's dead for sure. Did you see the body? Because I'm not sure he's gone.
Yeah. So, gosh, you know, there are so many theories as to...
He's probably living with Tupac in New Mexico.
Yeah, he probably is. There's so many theories as to what might be causing this because nobody wants to admit they have a bad memory, right? No. Or that they're just tuned out to major news like that.
Memory is so faulty. I know that in the criminal justice system, one thing that is very difficult for people that work in those cases is when a crime happens. First of all, witness testimony is always bad because people aren't always completely clear about what they've seen. Sometimes they are. But then memory. So you see something, you know what you saw, and then a couple days later you start to second guess yourself because your memory starts to change and you're not entirely sure anymore. Memory's a real tricky bitch.
And I feel like today it's even harder because we're so inundated with so much information. We're bombarded by so many things and we're doing so many tasks simultaneously.
We're overstimulated.
It's really easy for us to be confused. So some of the theories that people have as to what might be causing this is, of course, CERN.
Oh, but wait, CERN, isn't that, this started happening before CERN was around though, right?
Well, yeah, except for when people started tracking all of the Mandela effects, they noticed that there was a huge spike in these Mandela effects being reported in the year 2008, which coincidentally is the year CERN revved up its particle collider machine.
Well, that is interesting, isn't it?
Yeah. Now, some of the other, biggest theories I've come across are we're shifting parallel realities. I like that one.
Okay.
Time travelers are going back in time and changing little things to make our timeline a bit wonky. So it was like the whole Back of the Future. Don't touch anything. Don't talk to anyone. You're going to
mess
disturb the time continuum.
Yes, yes.
And then, of course, my favorite, demons escaping from the bottomless pit.
Oh.
And for those who do not believe, anything really paranormal is going on, they might just think it could be a mad hacker messing with code and making our world glitchy because they think we're living in a simulation.
Right. Well, isn't that the idea that we have a shared consciousness and that our consciousness is all agreed on what we're seeing out in our physical space? But really, physical space is just an illusion and we are not in a physical reality. We're just a spirit thinking it's having a physical experience. Isn't that how that works?
Yeah, and Elon Musk said that, if you look at where computer games used to be as to how just advanced they are with all the graphics and how they just look so realistic and so vibrant.
Yeah.
He said if there's even just a minute fraction of improvement, we won't be able to tell the difference between that and our reality. And so that should be our proof we are living in the Matrix.
Wow.
That's what he goes by and he believes. Okay, so if that's unsettling, let's dive into this right here and talk about some examples.
Yeah, because he wants to upload our consciousness to the web. So
I don't think he wants to. I think he just is fascinated with the ability to learn languages at light speed and be able to really improve. He really believes we won't be able to keep up once technology becomes aware of itself, and that is humanity's only hope, is to merge with technology. We're on an equal footing level.
Okay. Well, I'm getting my Jeff Goldblum Jurassic Park quote.
Oh,
ready.
God, not again. How many of these quotes do you have?
It's just the one, and I keep saying it over and over again.
Let's get into this. I'm going to just discuss some of the most unsettling ones I've come across.
Okay.
Do you have access to a King James Bible?
Well, how funny you should ask, Carol, since you insisted I get one when you walked in the door.
Yes.
As a matter of fact.
Where did you put it?
It's right here
Oh,
on my
good.
lap.
I'm glad it didn't materialize and dematerialize on us.
You are making me nervous about this because you said we were going to need this Bible to get us through this episode.
We are.
Okay.
So anybody who's listening, I know that a lot of you probably went to Sunday school. You might want to pause the episode also and go get your King James Bible, which used to be the gold standard version. We all had copies of it growing up. I know my family had a family King James Bible. And this one that you have is like 50 years old, isn't it?
Sure is. 1970.
Awesome. So what I want you to do is I want you to turn to the preface.
Turning to the preface.
I bookmarked it for you, Holly. So did you know that there's no such thing as the King James Bible?
Carol, stop it. You're fucking with me.
I don't really know how the Bible was named the King James Bible because in the preface...
There's no preface.
There is a preface.
I'm at the book of Genesis.
Oh, my Lord.
I'm sorry.
Oh, my Lord. We got to put this on pause.
Oh, here it is.
Okay, so what does it say at the top?
Hold on. Is this...
No, that's not the preface.
Then you're going to need...
Oh, my God. Okay. Okay, we found the preface. Thanks be to God.
Wait, does God still exist?
Yes, God still exists.
We're still in the Mandela effect, so I'm not really sure.
Would you do me the favor of just reading the preface?
Okay. To the most high and mighty Prince James, by the grace of God, King...
Okay, stop.
Okay.
Don't you think it's interesting it says Prince James?
It does say Prince James.
Why does it not say King James?
Well, below that, it says King of Great Britain, France, and Ireland, defender of the faith.
It does, but
He's a prince and he's a king.
it tells him that he's the prince. And before, people are saying it was always King James.
Yeah.
It wasn't Prince.
I've never heard it be called the Prince James Bible.
No, and most people haven't.
Mm-mm.
So if you examine this heading and then you go on to a little ways down that preface, it now states a tribute to Queen Elizabeth, who would not have been queen yet when this was printed.
For whereas it was the expectation of many who wished not well unto our scion, that upon the setting of that bright occidental star, Queen Elizabeth, of most happy memory, some thick and palpable clouds of darkness would so have overshadowed this land, that men should have been in doubt which way they were to walk, and that it should hardly be known who was to direct the unsettled state.
So, Holly, this is interesting because some of the arguments that this is a Mandela effect is that they say in the preface, well, first of all, it was never Prince James. It was always King James. And then they are, one of the argument is saying that Queen Elizabeth, this tribute that they make in the Bible, is to our Queen Elizabeth, who is reigning currently. But when we looked it up,
Yeah.
Clearly, this is referencing the first Queen Elizabeth, who brought Protestant religion out in the open. She was a very strong queen for the Protestant religion.
Yes.
And so that is why they're giving tribute to Queen Elizabeth, who would have passed
Right
how many
before
years?
King James, right before him.
Right before him, because this Bible came out in 1611.
Yeah. And he took over after she passed in 1603.
Right. So I don't really agree with that Mandela effect on that one, but there is a lot of changes people are saying that are happening with their Bible, in particular the King James Version. I know that we all have heard the Lord's Prayer 100 billion times.
Mm-hmm.
I remember it as, forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us.
Mm-hmm.
Is that how you've always learned it?
Yeah.
Well, now they say in the Bible it's changed to forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. And I know that that's another way of saying it, but I really believed that the original version was always trespasses and trespass.
So are they retranslating it into new language, or
Well, that's the thing.
that's a Mandela effect situation?
People think it's a Mandela effect because they're looking at their family Bibles, which are 50 or 90 years old.
Right.
And these changes are in there.
Should I look up that verse in this
Sure.
Bible? What's the verse?
I think that's in Psalms or... Yeah, so actually, it should be in the New Testament, Holly, where Jesus is teaching his disciples how to pray. Did you find it?
Yeah, Matthew chapter 6, verse 9. After this manner, therefore, pray ye, Our Father which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done in earth.
That should be on earth.
Right. In earth, well, the Bible says, the one I'm got on my lap says, in earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors.
Yeah, so yours has changed, we think. Or was it always that way?
I don't know.
Yeah,
That's
so
weird.
the changes also are grain fields that were referenced have now all changed to cornfields in the Bible through several passages, one being Matthew 12, verse 1. At that time, Jesus went on the Sabbath day through the corn, and his disciples were unhungered, I've never heard that, and began to pluck the ears of corn to eat. It is well known that corn did not exist in the Middle East at the time the Bible stories took place.
And we all know Jesus was a strict vegetarian and he only ate fish.
Well,
and bread, which is where wheat, you use wheat to make bread, right? What about the whole thing where he fed all those people with fish and bread? And they were like, that was great. Thanks, Jesus.
It should be wheat fields, not corn, because corn didn't even exist. It wasn't even brought over to Europe, much less the Middle East, through thousands of years later or 1,000 years later.
It's the GMO Corporation. They have infiltrated not just our land, but our Bibles now, too.
Another change that they point to is in Matthew 9, verse 17, where they say in a verse that says wineskins has now changed to bottles. And the verse says, neither do men put new wine into old bottles, else they bottles break, and the wine runners out, and the bottles perish. But they put new wine into new bottles, and both are preserved. Well, this, to me, doesn't make any sense, because in the context, well, bottles don't degrade. And wineskins are the ones that do perish if, the wine is left in them over time, the skins wear out. But actually, if you put wine in a bottle, it never goes bad. In fact, the taste gets better with age. So it doesn't even make sense in what they're saying.
Yeah.
So that one to me is kind of odd.
Yeah.
And the corn is really odd. And then, of course, we all know the famous phrase, the lion shall lie down with the lamb, in Isaiah 11, verse 6. But now people are saying that has changed to the wolf shall dwell with the lamb.
So they're referencing Twilight. Because remember, Edward said he was a lion that fell in love with a lamb.
Oh my God.
And now it's the wolf, which means ultimately she chose Jacob.
Oh, wow.
So the Twilight books are going to change now. She's going to end up with Jacob.
Great. We need to double cross-reference this. So my last Bible Mandela effect is coming up here. The last book, the Revelation, people seem to think it used to be called the Book of Revelations.
Yeah, it is.
It isn't.
It is.
It's the Revelation.
Carol,
now.
stop.
They also used to reference the horses of the apocalypse.
Yes.
We had the 4 horses being death, war, famine, and pestilence.
Huey, Dewey, Louie, and the news.
And they all had like different colors associated with them, like
Right.
pale, I don't know, black, red, brown. I don't remember what the colors were, but they're saying that has now changed to death, war, famine, and conquer.
Conquer?
Yeah. This is really confusing because the X-Men, when the apocalypse gathers his 4 horsemen, it is death, war, famine, and pestilence. So people are pointing to this as reference because, you know, they copied what their interpretation of the Bible was for the X-Men.
Okay.
Since these are very popular figures, the 4 horsemen. However, now that has also changed to conquer, to conquest.
Really?
Yeah, so pestilence is apparently in the older versions, and the modern one is conquest.
So, remember a couple episodes back where I did the Simpsons predictions?
Yeah.
They did an episode where they had the 4 horsemen.
Okay. Of the apocalypse.
Yeah, and I'm trying to see now if I can find it. Here we go. Come here. Okay, so they had one guy's on a horse, and his flag says Treehouse of Horror. The next horse says pestilence.
Okay.
The next horse says famine, and the last horse says war.
So see, that's another proof that it used to be pestilence.
Yeah. Yeah, The Simpsons would have lied to us.
And now they're saying it doesn't really even mention much of the attributes at all. I mean, the whole thing is crazy to me. I think there's so much going on here. There's also these weird, fascinating modern words that are showing up. Words like suburbs, the Matrix.
Wait, where are those words showing up?
In the Bible.
Oh.
The Matrix used to be, instead of the Matrix, it used to be the word womb in Exodus 34, verse 19. But now it says matrix. All that openeth the matrix is mine. Isn't that bizarre? Unicorn is in there.
Instead of the word womb?
It says matrix now.
Well, that is weird.
And unicorn is in there. Stuff. Mortgage.
Unicorn made it into the Bible.
Yeah. Liberals.
Liberals are in the Bible.
They're in the Bible. Pennies. Come on. Pennies. Apron. You're going to love this. Aliens.
Really?
Yes, and I know you want to look up that verse. It's Hebrews 11, verse 34. That's where aliens is.
Wait. I'm going.
Oh,
Hold on. I'll put it
okay.
on pause.
Holly, will you read this verse for us?
Yeah, this is insane. Okay, Hebrews chapter 11, verse 34 says in my mother's 1970 Bible, quenched, quote, the violence of fire, escaped the edge of the sword, out of weakness were made strong, waxed valiant in fight, turned to flight the armies of the aliens.
That, to me,
Creepy as fuck.
is an alien invasion.
How many times is the word aliens mentioned in the Bible, do we know?
I don't know, but it's there now, and it's
It wasn't there
spooky.
before.
It's spooky. They even have the word haunt in there.
Huh.
Frying pan.
Frying pan.
Yeah. Doctors of the law and bank, which that used to, you know what that word used to be, Holly? Money changers.
So you don't think this is just new interpretations?
Look at your
But we had the
Bible.
word. But we had the word aliens in the 1970s.
But they didn't use these terms when talking about biblical things. They didn't use frying pan.
no.
They didn't use the word pennies or mortgages.
Wait, pennies from heaven.
Yeah, that didn't come about until like way later. So I know that some of these probably do have an older interpretation, like, you know, something is of foreign nature, it's alien to us, so they could be using it in that term. But I still don't think that was commonly a term used back then. I could
No.
be wrong, but I just think this whole thing is crazy. And do you remember the story in the Bible where they would talk about John the Baptist's head being served on a platter to King Herod.
I don't remember that. No.
Well, yeah, he was persecuted and they wanted his head on a platter to be brought to him. Well, now it reads, give me John Baptist's head in a charger. Like, what's a charger? What is that?
There's chargers are those decorative plates you put underneath a plate.
Oh, that's right.
So maybe
they're
that's what
gold
they're referencing.
and they're...
Yeah.
Okay, but yeah, so that different?
So bring me his head on a decorative plate.
Yeah, rather than the platter.
Yeah.
So platter reminds me of like those pigs with the apple in the
Right,
mouth and
yeah.
the vegetables. So maybe he just wanted the head, no vegetables.
Maybe
Now-
he's using it as a decoration piece.
Yeah. So there's some naysayers out there. They say, okay, so if this is happening, why is it only happening in the King James Bible? There's many different versions.
Yeah.
Well, that used to be the case. Nobody could find changes, but now people are definitely seeing changes in the different versions that are out there.
Huh.
Like the New International Version, there's some changes. It's definitely fewer examples being seen, but they are seeing things change. But the big thing is it doesn't match people's memories, and a lot of these things don't make sense
Yeah.
for the time frame that
Yeah.
it was referring to.
Yeah. Huh. Interesting.
So very bizarre.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go on to some other ones.
Okay.
Do you think, Holly, there were 6 people in the limousine driving John F. Kennedy the day he was assassinated, or 4 people in the car?
You know, in my mind's eye, I feel like there was 4, but I don't know for sure.
So I remember 4 too. I wasn't there, but just from the photographs I see and kind of the footage I saw, I kept thinking it was 4 people as well.
Yeah.
Well, now they're saying it was always 6 people in the limousine.
Yeah.
But I also am questioning this one as a true Mandela effect, because that can just be camera angles.
Sure. And you're not, well, for you and I, we were not born when he was assassinated, but when we watch that footage, I'm only looking at him. I'm
Right.
not really looking at anybody else around there. So I'm not thinking how many people are in the car.
And I'm just wondering if, like, for editing purposes, to make it clear, they removed,
Yeah.
like, the 2 people in the middle.
Maybe.
I don't know. And then this next one is just totally wrong. Ed McMahon was never seen with the prize patrol handing out checks from the Publishing Clearinghouse sweepstakes.
But didn't he do some commercials where they brought people on and he's like, here's your balloons. Congratulations.
Okay, he was the face of Publishing Clearinghouse. That's my
Yeah.
whole point.
Yeah.
They say he never did that.
He never went to anyone's house.
No, he never handed out checks. He was never the face
But he
of
never did it
Publishing
in the
Clearinghouse.
studio or anything like that.
Nope.
Huh.
Nope. They're saying
That's
it never
interesting.
happened.
Is he still alive?
I have no idea.
I bet he's. Well, you know what? Maybe he is
I think
alive, but
he's
we've been told
passed.
he was dead
Oh,
a
yeah.
long time ago. So he could possibly be alive, but he might be dead. Let's see. Ed McMahon. There he is. This says that he did die on June 23rd, 2009, but maybe he's still alive.
With Tupac.
With Tupac and Nelson Mandela hanging out in New Mexico.
That's
where
right.
all the people go
To New
for
Mexico.
their second life.
So I love watching old movies and everything. And I think I've watched Wizard of Oz probably 15, 20 times in my life.
Mm-hmm.
You know the scene where the Scarecrow, the Tin Man, and the Lion and Dorothy are all scared and they're all walking through the scary forest together?
Yeah.
Did you know that the Scarecrow now carries a gun?
No. Where did he get a gun?
Exactly. Where did he get a gun?
When did that happen?
Well, he has a gun now.
Really?
People are saying they never remembered the Scarecrow having a gun. And one of the main things that they think why this is a Mandela effect is, you know how when there's plays and theatrical productions done of movies, they really study the characters and they try and get everything right and the props right. Well, none of the theatrical plays that have been, reproduced ever have the Scarecrow carrying a gun.
Yeah.
So people are saying, if that was true, you would have him carry the gun in the woods.
Yeah, I don't I'm not pulling that up in my memory banks right now. Scarecrow. Hold on. Scarecrow.
Well, everything you're going to look at is going to show the gun. So, I mean, that's my point is when people try and go back and look, it's going to show the changes.
Will it trigger my memory, though? I'm wondering.
I don't know.
Let me see. Yeah, he has a gun. Images. Maybe it was so slight I never really noticed it. Why would they give the guy without a brain the gun?
Exactly. And he's so scared and he's shivering. He shouldn't be carrying a gun.
No.
The other thing they say is
the
that
Tin Man should have carried, for sure.
And there's a Mandela effect about the Tin Man. The Tin Man now wears this weird silver shirt and tie, which I never noticed before. I always thought his little outfit, the tin can.
Yeah.
He had these rivets going down the front.
Yes, he does.
That kind of resembles buttons to me, but it is not a shirt and a tie. But if you watch the movie, it's now a shirt and tie.
Really?
In some scenes, and people are really weirded out by it. They're like, this is so cheesy. Why would we not notice he's just wearing a sprayed-on shirt?
Yeah.
So,
no, his outfit was pretty killer.
It really was. It actually killed him, his outfit. Did you know that?
Oh, the paint did?
Yeah.
Really?
He died from the poison of the paint. How well do you know your American history?
Not that great. It's so.
Well, I must say people are up in arms over their history classes, including those with master degrees in American history.
Okay.
I was actually in advanced history classes, and I agree with this one. They did not do a good job because only recently did I hear that we were attacked by a foreign country on our soil before Pearl Harbor. I was always taught that Pearl Harbor was the main one.
Right? The Canadians tried to invade and we pushed them back.
Stop picking on the Canadians. Talking about the French Revolution. Stop it. Have you ever heard of Black Tom Island?
At Disneyland?
No. That's
No.
Black Tom Island. Hey, Germans, if you're listening, have you heard of Black Tom Island? I wonder if they're aware because according to American history, the Germans bombed us on July 30th, 1916 at the start of World War I.
Really?
And it nearly destroyed the Statue of Liberty in the process.
Wow.
They sent over a group of spies who were focused on a munitions depot that was situated on a pier connecting this Black Tom Island that I've never heard about before with Jersey City.
Yeah.
This force of the bomb, when it exploded, it hit the statue, damaging the arm and the torch.
Oh.
Repairs of the statue weren't made, though, until 1984, and they have the original torch displayed in the monument's lobby. The explosion was heard as far away as Maryland and Connecticut. It registered on the Richter scale as a 5.5 earthquake and shattered the stained glass out of cathedrals nearby. People on Ellis Island that day had to be evacuated by ferry. There was over $20 million in damage.
Oh, wow.
And 7 people were confirmed as dying in the blast, including a 10-week-old boy who was thrown out of his crib with the blast. Reports say the death toll is probably much higher because there were several housing boats that caught fire near the island, and due to the lack of an actual body count, some of those people who were on those houseboats probably sunk or vanished, and they're just listed as missing. So I think this is just weird why they would let a statue symbolizing the strength and freedom of America stand with a damaged arm and torch for that many years without repair and not teach about this in any of our history classes.
Yeah, I certainly don't remember learning about it, but that doesn't mean that they didn't teach us because I just wasn't paying attention.
And same with me. It's like, well, I guess I could have forgotten something like that. But
Yeah.
you would think you would hear about it again when 9/11 happened.
Yeah.
Or something like that, because they did bring up the bombing of the Louisiana, the ship.
Yeah.
They did bring up past episodes of,
Right.
or I'm not episodes, past incidents of, attacks.
Other attacks. That was 1916, you said?
Yeah,
that-
the bombing. Yeah.
So, and like 7 people were confirmed dead, and then some people were missing. Perhaps it was so small of an event compared to Pearl Harbor and 9/11 that they just didn't really pay much attention.
That
I don't know.
it got just
It
kind
was
of dwarfed by other news.
Yeah, it was so long ago, and but no, it's interesting. I mean, I'm surprised that it wasn't brought up.
Well, I can see maybe it not being taught, in regular history, but I would think they would reference it at some point.
Sure.
And these guys who say they have PhD and masters in history, American history, and this guy specifically in World War I history,
Yeah,
had never heard of this.
that's interesting.
Only until recently.
Huh.
So, and then of course there is a Mandela effect about the Statue of Liberty itself.
Okay.
When I traveled to New York with my family as a kid, we went to Ellis Island off New York, and I got to go up into the crown of the statue.
I heard they don't let you up there anymore.
I don't think so. I
Yeah.
don't think you can go up there. I'm
don't-
not sure.
I don't think you can.
At the time, it turns out that in this timeline, the Statue of Liberty was never located on Ellis Island.
That's creepy. Where the hell was she?
She's on Liberty Island and always has been.
Was she crawling up the Empire State Building with King Kong?
She must have. This,
So wait, she's on her own island. And it's not Ellis Island.
she's on Liberty Island
Liberty
instead
Island.
of Ellis Island.
And you remember her being on Ellis Island?
Absolutely on Ellis Island.
Huh.
And when I was researching this, because I was like, of course she's on Ellis Island, right?
Yeah.
When I was researching this, there were all kinds of comments, and this one girl was like, I remember going there with my family, and my name is Ellis. And they said, you're going to see the Statue of Liberty on an island that's named after you, Ellis.
Wow.
Isn't that weird?
That is
That's
kinda
hard to
weird.
kind of mess that up.
Right.
So I think when David Copperfield did his
Oh,
moving
that's
the
what it was.
statue,
Yep.
he really levitated that thing and moved it to a different island.
I
They're
think
like, oops, David, you messed up. You couldn't move the statue back. Now we're going to have to pretend it was always on Liberty Island.
And he erased all of our memories except for yours and that other chick.
Yeah, that's it. No, there are so many people that think the same way.
Really?
Yes.
Huh.
You really didn't think Statue of Liberty wasn't on Ellis Island?
Honestly, I'm going to be completely honest with you. I've never paid that much attention.
Oh, Lord, Holly.
I've only been in New York City like twice, and neither time did I go to Statue of Liberty or Ellis Island or anything. The first time I was there was for a wedding, and the second time I was there was just there for like a night or two, and that was it. And it didn't really do much.
So the Big Apple just didn't do much for you.
I like New York. No, I really like it, but I just was in and out that second time kind of briefly, and New York wasn't the point of my trip there at the time.
Yeah,
so
sure.
I didn't do a lot of touristy stuff.
Well, I just would love to have the weigh in on our listeners on that one. I also remember giving in grade school a presentation on the Black American inventor of the cotton gin, Eli Whitney. He was one of the very first really wealthy Black Americans who also made life easier for the cotton workers. So a couple years back, I saw this display celebrating Black History Month, and they had all kinds of inventors and famous people, notable figures from the past. And so I just asked, hey, why don't you have the famous Eli Whitney? And someone said, because Eli Whitney is a white dude.
Oh, uh-oh.
So I was really embarrassed, and I had to do some research. And yes, indeed, Eli Whitney is now a white guy who invented the cotton gin in 1794, but he is definitely not a black guy.
Whoa, but you remember him being a black guy.
Yeah, and I did a report on him.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Huh.
So this is really strange. And
I want to look that one up.
according to a lot of people, they remember the same thing. I believe this qualifies as a Mandela effect because BuzzFeed weighed in.
Okay.
Recently did a poll regarding this, and 56%, around 10,500 people surveyed, voted yes. I remember him as black.
Really?
And now I'm doubting everything I know. 38% of the people polled, around 7,024 votes, said no. I always knew he was white. And then 6%, around 1,155 votes, said, well, they have complicated thoughts on the matter. So they just don't even know. You know? They were like you, Holly, falling asleep in class.
Yeah. He's definitely a white dude, and he's got some kind of crazy comb over weird side swipe hair situation.
Yeah. He just doesn't.
Wow.
Yeah. And so, I mean, a lot of kind of crazy stuff with that. It makes you just wonder.
In this picture, he looks like his face is kind of melted. Look.
Oh,
He's
morphing in and out of reality as we see.
It's like someone took some LSD and said, I'm going to paint a picture of that black cotton gin guy.
Cotton gin guy who's now white.
Yeah.
So we'll never really know because that's all changed. And this one many can relate to. The missing emojis on the Apple iPhone. So Apple, if you're listening, you've handled this really poorly. Because you could have just said we retired some old emojis for our new and improved emojis with our latest updates, but no. Instead, a Google search just makes you feel crazy by saying, these emojis never existed, and here is the list. The robber bandit.
I don't remember using the rubber bandit to talk about all the things I've stolen. Just hearts. Just hearts.
Oh. The hiker. Do you remember the hiker?
No, I don't.
The blind person with the cane.
No.
How?
What?
God. The Japanese or the Asian flip-flops that everybody made fun of. And they're like, these don't even look like flip-flops because they weren't. They were like the specialized open shoes that they called them the thong sandals.
You and I have now deviated from our lives together, and I don't know you.
You don't know any of these emojis?
I don't know any of them. I don't know what you're
robber
talking
bandit
about.
had like a bag of gold and like a striped shirt with a little mask.
Like the hamburger from McDonald's?
Yeah, kind of. That's kind of how they made him, and he's gone. I guess he never existed.
Yeah,
I know those
that.
flip-flops existed. I know they did. I can see them in my mind. I can draw you a sketch. So
okay, Carol.
Whatever. So my last one, the sun.
The sun is real, goddammit.
Okay, I know.
You cannot just pretend the sun doesn't exist.
Well,
anymore.
Holly, in coloring books growing up, what color did you make the sun?
Yellow.
Yeah, it's either yellow or like that orangey yellow.
Yeah.
We never thought it to be blue.
No, it's
And
not.
certainly not bright white.
Well, maybe.
I never made my sun white.
Well, I never made it white in my colorings because white crayon on white paper doesn't show up.
Well, kids nowadays are coloring the sun white.
Well, it's because they're those indigo children.
Yeah, they see
see it as
everything in
white.
pureness.
Yes.
But if you ask kids today what color the sun, many will say white, and it is true. If you take a look at the pictures being posted, the sun is unusually white. But I'm not sure this is also a true Mandela effect because my theory is it's just the quality of camera film, or maybe it's like the blue gold dress thing where half of us see the sun as yellow.
Oh, yeah.
And the other half of us see it as white.
Right. And depending on how you answer will be if you go to hell or heaven when you die.
Okay. Because this is a spiritual Mandela
Yes, it's a spiritual
quest.
test. It's very, very clear to me when I took it. I was like, well,
what's happening here. And doesn't pollution make sense too? Like,
sure.
Isn't that how the beautiful red-orange sunsets are made? Is that pollution in the air? That's why we see it so well.
Sure. I don't know what makes a sense of that.
Well,
color.
I'm thinking maybe our air quality is getting better then.
Well,
Hooray!
after COVID, they said it did get better because we weren't out driving around as much. So maybe you're right.
So, well, anyway. So those are my Mandela effects.
Wow. Well, I have a couple I can throw in.
Cool.
The first one we'll talk about.
I think we've talked about before, haven't we?
Probably, but I'm going to bring it up here because I didn't know it was a Mandela effect until I saw it. I'm like, oh, wow. Because I got in a fight with my class once over this.
Oh, no.
Did I not tell you this story?
No, this is scandalous. Please tell me.
So a couple of years ago, I was taking a class at Portland Community College, and it was some kind of law class. And I think it was like, was it contracts? I can't remember now what it was. Anyway, our teacher wanted us to write up some kind of a brief about, Cruella de Vil.
Oh, yeah.
And, if you're going to agree to sell her your puppies, your Dalmatian puppies or not. I can't remember what the whole assignment was, but it was something about Cruella de Vil and deciding to give her your dogs for her coat, right?
Cruella de Vil.
Exactly. So he's sitting there and he goes, yeah, so you guys are going to write this brief about Cruella de Vil. And then he goes, her name is spelled Cruelladeville. And I was like, what? No, it isn't. And I raised my hand. And I said, no, actually, her last name is spelled Devil. It's spelled like devil, but it's pronounced DeVille. Yeah. And 2 or 3 of the students in that class turned around and looked at me and they said, no, it is not. It is Deville. It's French.
No.
And Carol, I was this close to saying to them, no, motherfucker. I work for the Walt Disney Studios, and I had to write the word Cruella de Vil about 1,000 times when I worked there. And trust me when I tell you, it's Devil.
I remember that too.
Yes. But they were so smug. And then I just sat there and I thought, you know what? You're making an issue over something quite small. Just let it go. So I did. I let it go.
That's really good of you.
I should have spoken up and said, fuck you. No, that's not right.
That reminds me of a couple other Disney ones, right? The Castle.
Of which film?
Cinderella's Castle.
Cinderella's Castle?
In Disneyland is moved, right? People are saying that?
You said that it's no longer at the front. To me, it still is, but I know when you walk into Disneyland, in California anyway, I'm not sure about Florida, but when you walk into Disneyland, you go through the little turnstile, and then you see the bank of roses. Mm-hmm. It says Disneyland, and there's the train. You walk around that, and then there's the castle. Yeah.
But some people are saying you see it as they thought you saw it as the first thing when you go through, and I never remembered that.
Yeah, I think that in TV commercials it gives you that sense, but it's not the first thing you see. You see that bank of flowers, and then you walk around, and then there's the castle. So, yeah, I don't remember ever seeing the castle first, but perhaps they built that out later, and the older people remember the castle first.
Well, do you remember Tinkerbell? Mm-hmm. And waving her little wand?
Yeah.
In front of the Disney.
Yeah, in front of the castle.
No, in the movies where she spells out Disney.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then she dots the I with her wand.
Yeah.
Supposedly that never happened.
Oh, that's weird. I do remember that. Huh.
I do too.
But anyway,
I'm sorry.
The Cruella de Vil thing, that is a Mandela effect. People believe that her name used to be spelled Deville. And I was like, I just thought that I was with a bunch of morons in class. But perhaps they remember it being spelled that way. But I even went back and looked at the original book that was written, 101 Dalmatians. The author wrote her name Deville. So I'm like, where are they getting this?
Well, it's frustrating because they are also absolutely right. I believe in their timeline it was always Deville.
Even
for
though
them.
It's much more clever to spell it Deville.
Yeah. I loved our timeline so much better.
Yeah, sad for them, but good for us.
Good for us.
Yeah. Then there's another one, Silence of the Lambs. Apparently, Anthony Hopkins, who plays Hannibal Lecter, never says the words "Hello, Clarice."
Get out of town.
Which is weird to me because I swear to God, I've heard him say "Hello, Clarice." There's so many great lines from that movie.
He absolutely said that.
I know, but apparently he never does.
Huh?
So, there's the...
and people watch the movie and he doesn't say it now.
I haven't gone back and watched the movie to look for that not being there, but that's one of the things I read online was that he never says, "Hello, Clarice."
That's crazy.
He'll say, "I ate his liver with some fava beans and a nice Chianti." But like, I love the scene too where the girl down on the well, whole thing, she gets the dog, and he's like, "Don't you hurt my dog." She's like, "Don't you make me hurt your dog." That's some good writing right there.
But I'm sorry, but "Hello, Clarice" is the iconic line.
I know.
You say that doesn't happen, and
apparently it doesn't want to happen. No, apparently it does not.
Okay, that's just bizarre.
Very strange. And then Patrick Swayze. Fans remember that he went into remission when he had his pancreatic cancer diagnosis. And I'm pretty sure I remember that too. But here's the thing. I remember seeing it in a headline on a magazine. So perhaps they were incorrect in reporting that because he died 20 months after his diagnosis. He never came back into remission. So I'm wondering if that was just a misreporting on the part of the tabloids.
Right.
Perhaps, and that's why people misremember him getting better. He never actually did.
Okay.
So that's,
That's too bad.
Did I tell you about when a friend of mine won years ago, she won a big sweepstakes to go down to Hollywood and see the premiere of Waterworld?
No.
The movie Waterworld.
I don't remember you telling me that.
Yeah, it was probably, I don't know, 19 or 20. Anyway, she asked me to go with her. And we went down there, and there were all these, it was such a surreal experience. There were all these celebrities. We went on the red carpet. There was winners from all over the country that they had done this contest for. And we went in and we watched the movie, and, Brad Pitt was there when he was dating Gwyneth Paltrow. They were there. Patrick Swayze was there. And at one point we went over and I go, "Oh my God, that's Patrick Swayze." And he heard me and he turned around and he smiled. And my friend ran over and got a photo. I took a photo of the two of them together. It was really cool. He was so nice. And he was because we were at this little afterward party that was also sponsored by the studio. So a lot of the celebrities were there. And, they're just there to hang out. I don't think they're expecting to hang out with fans, but the fact that he heard me and was so nice and was willing to do that photo, I didn't feel like, I guess I wasn't expecting him to do that because I don't think he was in an environment where he was supposed to be hanging out with fans. He was just there with other people from the industry.
Yeah.
So he was really cool. It was really awesome that he did that.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
It was an amazing experience. I was just like, wow, I can't believe all these famous people, and it was crazy. That's another one I remember. He died way too young. He was he would have had a much bigger, longer career had that not happened to him. It was very sad.
Yeah.
He was one of my favorites. I love Patrick Swayze. And of course, we talked about Billy Graham. Did we talk about Billy Graham?
No, that one, we did mention it slightly, but that is the biggest Mandela effect personally that I've ever been through because I know without a shadow of a doubt, I watched his funeral.
I know.
Way before.
Yeah, 2012. Or you thought it was even before that, right?
I thought it was even before 2012. I thought it was more like in the late 90s or early 2000s that he died. But I do remember watching the funeral, so I could just maybe have gotten the year wrong.
Yeah.
But I know it wasn't recent.
I know. And I want to say 2012 feels about right to me. But I absolutely remember thinking, oh, Billy Graham died. And then when he died, I'm like, wait, he already died a long time ago.
Same
What's
with
going
me.
on?
I sound like a crazy person when I say this.
I know. Well, a lot of people feel that way. And his wife had died in 2007. Mm-hmm. So maybe there's a misremembering of just it's her, not him. But I absolutely feel like he had died. Absolutely.
I did too because of the tribute given to him.
Yeah.
I remember all the presidents went to his funeral.
Yeah. Weird.
Because, he was the pastor of so many presidents. Mm-hmm. He was like the official pastor.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It's weird, isn't it?
And it's so strange because his daughter did speak at his funeral, the one that supposedly happened in 2018, you said. Mm-hmm. And she also spoke at the one I watched. So it's like, did they pre-record this whole thing
Someone
and
needs to pull her
accidentally
aside.
Filmed it? And the whole thing was like, hey guys, let's pre-film my whole funeral.
Someone needs to pull her aside and be like, when did he really die? Is he still alive? Maybe he's still alive and he's going to die again here in 2025.
And he's down with Tupac too and all the rest.
Tupac and Nelson and who was the other one we just said? You said it. You were talking about someone earlier. Oh, well.
I can't remember.
I can't remember. It was so long ago.
That's how our memories
That's
are.
exactly why the Mandela effect exists, because we can't even remember what we talked about 10 minutes ago.
And that's why, but I've found that my long-term memory is much better than my short-term memory.
Oh.
And I think it's just because when you're younger, every experience is new. So it burns into your brain. Whereas when you get older, people say, the days just seem to blend one into the other,
and
because you're not experiencing brand new experiences.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why you kind of just are like brain dead.
You formed all of those neural pathways and all of those wrinkles in your brain, and all you're doing is refiring them over and over again. And after a while, you're like, this is kind of boring.
Right.
I'm no longer that interested in paying attention to things. All right, thanks,
guys,
everybody.
Take your vitamins. Keep your memories up. You don't want to live in this crazy universe called Mandela
No,
effect.
you don't. All right.
Good night.
Good night.
He says, no, I am
Luke,
your father.
I am your father.
No, he just says, no, I am your father.
No, I am your father.
No, I am your father.
No.
Okay.
I'm your father.
It's a broken record.
Wicka, 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 what?
Wicka, 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 wicka.
So when did the King James Bible version come out?
That's a good question. Let's put it on pause and find out.
Okay.
As the flames die down, do remain undaunted.
Though all hitchhikers are ghosts,
And all dolls are definitely haunted.
hey guys, be sure to follow us on Instagram. Our handle is @Fireside Phantoms. If you have a spooky story you would like to share with us, send it to firesidephantoms@gmail.com, and you may hear it on a future episode.